Hello, folks. XAT business decision making, a framework. And I've been careful not to say this as a beautiful strategy. First of all, I'll say all the caveats before. My brain is very black or white. When I work well in objective framework, I work well in quantifiable framework and measurable frameworks. And so I'm giving all these caveats because business decision making is incredibly not this. And so for me, BDM has been an acquired skill set and an incomplete acquired skill set. I'm rather average at BDM. So why am I doing this? Sometimes you get gyan from the experts. Sometimes you get gyan from, not gyan, sometimes you get input from the guys who have struggled with it, who therefore say, look, I did all this, why don't you also try? And so this is my bid to say, hey, I did all this, why don't you also kind of try that? Yeah. So what are the themes to keep in mind? And so 4 core themes. Sustainability, very important. So the questions will talk about solutions. Answer choices will talk about solutions that are longer term, take also stakeholders into account, take the environment into account, take society into account, gravitate towards choices that have sustainable ideas of all stakeholders into account. And keep that in mind because that's a theme that they seem to appreciate. Personal responsibility is super important once again. So if any one person has been in charge of a blunder, something that has happened, somebody forgot something, somebody completely missed out on something because of which a giant loss happened, how should you pick up on it? The choices may talk about this individual glossing over that, this individual talking about systemic changes. There may be choices which talk about owning that thing and then planning for that. Or in a conflict situation, the person saying, look, I need to make these changes. So I need to make these changes. As an organization, we need to make these changes. Those are something that are important. Take accountability is important from an answer choice point of view. Or proactive thinking, this is important, right? So there's a couple of questions years ago where the scenario is a bunch of kids playing and they get into a mild tussle. The question was very clear to say it's a mild tussle. And as a parent, what should you do? And I have 2 kids. So usually what will I do? If it's a mild tussle, I'll let it go. I'll keep an eye so that it doesn't become mara-mari, but I'll let it go. And that's not the option they are looking for, right? So the option has to be proactive. You cannot be this, we will look and watch for another 3 quarters, see which way the wind blows. No, you're not going to see which way the wind blows. You should jump in and take action, and not the passive option. And so precedent-based action. So if there is a context set in the passage, and it says this happened once before, and we have done this, then that provides the context. It could be the context for saying this has been done, we have to follow it, or this was done and it didn't work out, we cannot do it. But either way, the precedent has to be looked into. Right? So it's very important to keep that in mind. Yeah. Avoid these choices very clearly. Unethical or illegal options. No, it's an easy elimination of an option. So Ram decided to not highlight any of this to top management because it would have cost trouble for everybody, and initiated these measures. No, when you've done something wrong, part of personal responsibility, nothing which hides, which is secretive, which is speak to only 4 people, eliminate the others, none of that. So, illegal is a no-no, unethical is a no-no. Even without these 2, there are shady behaviors, no. Fine, so be very easy elimination. Short-term fixes like this would have cost, even though there's a supply constraint right now, capacity constraint right now, they could have borrowed 2 more machines from neighboring companies and delivered this in December. They can follow the same policy in March and June and September and take stock of things later on, a year from now. No, you can't take stocks of things a year from now. You may be fighting a battle for today, do whatever fix it can, but there has to be an element of thinking slightly long term and knowing what the issue is. So the short term fixes are a no-no. Passive, let it resolve answers. It speaks back to the proactive approach. We'll just wait and watch. हमें कुछ नहीं करना है. This situation does not need me to poke my nose in. No. Taking charge, being responsible, being accountable for something, understanding what the different dynamics are all very much expected out of managers. You cannot say, look, मेरा problem नहीं है, देख लेंगे क्या होता है. No, that's not what they're looking for. Right? What examiners prefer? Just taking stock again. So long-term view, we've discussed this. Taking ownership, yes. Responsibility. Action-oriented decisions, not passive, not the proactive approaches are definitely preferred. Past behavior as indicator, which is basically precedents. And I'm just doing a very quick recap. Fine. So, language cues matter. Adjectives highlight the true issue. And so, this particular issue was causing him endless sleepless nights. He was close to retirement, and it was bothering him that his legacy would be tarnished. Legacy would be tarnished. So it's not a mild issue. It bothers him or her. So therefore, we need to keep those adjectives in mind to understand how much the passage is kind of according importance to different issues. So it's very important to keep an eye on the language. What is a mild issue? What is an issue that's taken seriously? Where some word is emphasized, we need to be switched on about that. Once you know what is being highlighted, then the pain point being addressed, that becomes a more preferred choice. Right? This is a summary. We've covered all of this. Style-wise, one thing to kind of keep in mind. I was flippant about BDM for a long time. And I was like, look, I'll attempt 4 questions. Some 2 will come right, some 2 won't come right. One day I'll choose this option. They'll say short-term view should not be taken. Another day I'll do the long-term thing. They'll say today there is a crisis. You should have solved this before going anywhere else. One time I'll find a collaborative option. Then they'll be like, there are 3 stakeholders that are important. So I used to whine about how the correct answer interprets this slightly differently, not better, not worse, slightly differently from how I did things. And so, don't do that. And so, don't obsess over it. Don't do it too much. And so, there will be answer choices in BDM that you will get right. There will be ones that you will get right, and you will see the point about you will get wrong, and you'll see the point about the correct answer. There will be questions that you get wrong, and you simply cannot agree with what they have marked as the right choice. That's all right. It's completely all right. But don't let that make you flippant about BDM. Embrace this and embrace the idea that the variables in this are not black and white. They hardly are, right? If one cousin of yours is not really in talking term with another cousin of yours, and you're trying to put them together, you're the guy listening to both of them. Their versions and their interpretations are different. You can't bang their heads together and say, shut up and listen to me. They won't. So they're dealing with a boss or a subordinate or a peer in some review. It's hardly ever black and white. So there is a reason why this is not black and white. There is a reason why they're testing this. They want to know whether you can operate with incomplete information, have a good decision-making framework, and get by and large everything right. Don't be so uncomfortable with incomplete information that you say, look, I can't even do this. How can I answer this question? I don't know what the relationship of the second son is with the father. I don't know what their future plans are. How can I say what he will want to do? I cannot get into his head. So how can I answer this question? Don't put the pressure of having complete information on your head. In life, we operate very frequently with incomplete information. They are basically saying, look, there's some things I'll say, some things I'll leave unsaid for you to interpret. Some things that are left unsaid, you have no mechanism of interpreting it. Make some decent assumptions and give me the answers. You may get it right, you may not get it right, but keep at it. This kind of, I think, what they're saying. And so there needs to be an appreciation of the idea that this exercise, this entire section makes sense. And to do lots of guys I've worked with, studied with, they're so comfortable with quantifiable, complete information that they're so uncomfortable with this. And then they're like, okay, so I can put C, you can put B, we can argue for 45 minutes. What's the point of even doing this? Don't be that person. Be the person who says, look, I mark B, you said C, I see your point, why you've said C. The learning from me is if the correct answer is C, this is what the examiners seem to be thinking. I'll need to keep that in mind. I'll go to the next one. The attitudinal fix is very important. And I know that several people don't make that fix. Please make that fix. First, it may be a grudging admiration for this section, but do that. Then there will be a more natural appreciation of why this is relevant. Get to that point. The sooner you get to that point, the easier this section will be, and most definitely the more fun this section will be. please do that, right? Best wishes for next year.